forgotten, and I am glad that I have. But there is one that has stayed with me always. At a certain point in our journey, the guide had grown irritable over my lack of appreciation for his tales. As he led my camel by the halter, he introduced a news story by saying, "This is a tale that I reserve for my particular friends." He immediately had my close attention. He then told me that there once lived near the shore of the river Indus, toward which we were traveling, an ancient Persian by the name of Ali Hafid. He said that Ali Hafid owned a large farm with orchards, grain fields, and gardens, that he loaned money at interest, had a beautiful wife and lovely children, and was a wealthy and contented man. One day, there visited this old Persian farmer one of those ancient Buddhist priests, one of the wise men of the East, who sat down by Ali Hafid's fireside and told the farmer how this world was created in fascinating and not unscientific detail. The priest concluded by telling the farmer that a diamond was the last and the highest of God's mineral creations. The old priest told Ali Hafid that if the farmer had a diamond the size of his thumb, he could purchase a dozen farms like this. And, said the priest, if you had a handful of diamonds, you could purchase the county, and if you had a mine of diamonds, you could purchase kingdoms. Ali Hafid heard all about diamonds that night, and went to bed a poor man in his mind. He wanted a whole mine of diamonds. Early in the morning, he sought out the priest. "Will you tell me where I can find diamonds?" Ali Hafid asked. "Diamonds," the priest said. "What do you want of diamonds?" "I want to be immensely rich," said Ali Hafid. "Well," said the priest, "if you want diamonds, all you have to do is go find them, and then you will have them." "But I don't know where to go," said Ali Hafid. "If you will find a river that runs over white sands between high mountains, in those white sands you will always find diamonds," replied the priest. "But," asked Ali Hafid, "do you believe there is such a place?" "Plenty of them," said the priest. "You just have to go where they are." So Ali Hafid sold his farm, left his family in charge of a neighbor, and away he went in search of diamonds. He began at the mountain range at the source of the Nile River. Afterward, he went to the Holy Land, and then into Europe. At last, when his money was all gone, and he was in rags and starving, he stood on the shores at Barcelona in Spain, and he cast himself into the incoming tide, sank beneath its foaming crest, never to rise in this life again. When the old Arab guide told me this story, he stopped to rearrange some of our belongings, and I had the opportunity to muse over what he had said. I asked myself, why did this old guide reserve this story for his particular friends? But when he began again, I discovered that this was the first story that I had ever heard where the hero died in the first chapter, for the guide began a second chapter, just as though there had been no break. The guide went on to say that the man who had purchased Ali Hafid's farm led his camel out into the garden to drink, and as the animal put his nose into the shallow waters of the garden brook, Ali Hafid's successor noticed a curious flash of light from the white sands of the stream. Reaching in, he pulled out a black stone containing a strange eye of light. He took it into the house as a curiosity, placed it on the mantel, and forgot about it. Not long after that, the same old priest came to visit Ali Hafid's successor. The moment he stepped into the room, he noticed the flash of light. The priest rushed to the mantel and said, "Here is a diamond! Here is a diamond! Has Ali Hafid returned?" "Oh no, Ali Hafid has not returned, and we have not heard from him," the new owner said. "And that is not a diamond. It is nothing but a stone we found out in our garden." "But I know a diamond."